I'd like to welcome you back to our walk through Romans. If you would like to help us out, let me ask you to do this. Will you hit the like button? And then if you want to continue to receive notifications of our videos, hit the subscribe button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then share it with your friends. Share the Word of God with your friends. You know what? If you've got an unsaved friend, take your Facebook page and use it as a tool for evangelism. Then share this teaching with your friends. Yesterday's teaching would be an excellent teaching to share with someone who doesn't know Jesus. You see, I believe that one of the things that the enemy has done is he has misconstrued what salvation is. And he's taught people that if in order to be saved, you got to be good. Well, you know what? I remember as a young man just giving up on trying to be good. Why? Because I knew I couldn't. And then because of that, I got very frustrated and very angry with God. And you know what? I was walking further and further away from him until someone told me the good news that Jesus died for my sins, that God loved me, he didn't hate me, and that Jesus died to take my place. You know what? When we share the gospel with people, you know what? One of the things that we're doing is we are uncovering all the lies of the enemy. So share it with someone. Today we're in Romans, the 6th chapter, verse number 10. And we've been talking all this week about death and life, death and life. And again, let me just remind you of this. When we talk about death, we're not talking about physical death. We're talking about spiritual death. You see, every unbeliever is in a place. He's locked into a thing called eternal death. He's going to experience an eternity separated from God. Can you imagine what that's like? Separated from God's love, separated from God's peace, separated from all the things that God has, separated from the life of God himself. So we're talking about spiritual death, not physical death. In Romans, the 6th chapter, verse number 10, it says, "For the death that he died." You see, Jesus died physically, but he also took the sins of the world and became separated from God. You know, if we could play a for real movie of the crucifixion, you would see Jesus dying physically, his blood being shed, but you would also see God turning his back on his own son, because he is taking the death of the world, the spiritual death of the world, upon himself. Jesus died. And again, going back to Romans, the 6th chapter, verse number 10, for the death that he died. And again, it's not just talking about physical death. It's talking about also a spiritual separation from God. Now, let me say this. Just as soon as Jesus said it was finished on the cross, he himself received the life that he bought. Why? Because the sacrifice had been made. It was finished. Now, let's go on. For the death that he died to sin once for all. Jesus died one time. What did he die for? He died to sin. He took sin on the cross and he died to it. Jesus, he died to sin, and he died to sin once. Jesus is no longer dying to sin. It's a done deal, if I can put it in a vernacular of that's, maybe it's a little, comes from my Kentucky roots. He died once for all. It's a done deal. It is finished. He died once, just one time. He's no longer dying on the cross. That's why I don't like the crucifix. He is not there anymore. Why? Because he died once. And then it says, for all. Who did Jesus die for? He died for everyone. Now, let me say this. Not everyone is going to experience what Jesus bought and paid for on the cross, because you have to believe in him. You know, some people are saying, well, Jesus died for all. Therefore, no matter what you do in your life, no matter if you accept Jesus, no matter if you believe in Jesus or not, you're going to go to heaven. No. You have something to do. People have something to do. What they need to do is they need to believe. And they need to believe while they are still on planet Earth. Because that door is open only to human beings. I don't want to go into that. That's a whole theological ballgame all by itself. Let's go back to the scriptures. But the life that he lives. How many of you know that Jesus is alive right now? He is alive. He is risen from the dead. He's alive. The life that he lives right now. What does he live? He lives a life to God. You see, Jesus said to the Father from the cross, into your hands I commend my spirit. What was Jesus doing? He's now living. And he's living a life, and he's living it for God, his Father. You see, that's what we do. We say to Jesus, Jesus, I realize you died for my sins. I now decide, I make a decision to live for you. Not to live for myself anymore, but to live for you. And brothers and sisters, that's the greatest life that we could ever live. Free from sin. Free from guilt. Free from condemnation. Living for God. Now my time is up for today. Join us again tomorrow as we continue this walk through the book of Romans. Thank you for watching.